In order to help the developing countries and less developed countries, we should use capacity building. So what is capacity building? Let us think about a society or a community as a person. So this person would like to achieve a better quality of life. So he would like to achieve this, he or she would like to achieve this digitalization, because that will make their life more efficient and will be able to give more opportunities to develop their economies. Okay, we can help this person by building a bridge to go to the other side, which is the digitalization. There are also some barriers. These barriers could be internal practices that are hindering the possibility of digitalization. So what is capacity building? The development of skills, instincts, abilities, resources, and processes. And the first purpose of all these elements is for survival. Let us keep in mind that some communities are in very poor conditions. So the first purpose of capacity building is survival. The second purpose is to adapt, because the world is changing so fast that we need to adapt by means of capacity building. And finally, to thrive. It means to prosper in a world that in this case has a lot of possibilities through digitalization. So what are some of the constructive procedures to achieve this capacity building? Well, some of them are research, innovation, data collection and analysis that will help to develop the skills, instincts, abilities, resources, and processes that are part of the capacity building. So now let us take a look of, okay, now the person can come to the other side and enjoy of the benefits of digitalization, thanks to the capacity building. So what are some of the barriers? Well, there are a few studies. This is an experience in Bangladesh. First, there are institutional and regulatory barriers, which include governance fragmentation, institutional rigidity, overlapping mandates. So there can be many organizations all giving different orders that could overlap each other. Siloed operations among various agencies, so many efforts, but without any coordination, and outdated regulations. Also, a barrier is digital infrastructure. First, poor internet connection, outdated hardware, limited digital support, and system interoperability issues. So there could be many systems working well or working bad, but they cannot interconnect among themselves. So that's a barrier. And cybersecurity. Because of the absence of cybersecurity frameworks and limited awareness by stakeholders. Some other barriers include institutional inertia, fear of your job displacement, and culture of manual processes. So we might have the culture of doing the things the way we have always done it. So we might resist to digitalization or to automation. So that's a conservative practice that is a barrier for digital transformation. There are also economic and financial constraints, such as insufficient investment for digital infrastructure, for cybersecurity measures, and lack of training. There is multi-actor complexity. There is weak coordination among three persons, three groups of peoples that include government, private stakeholders, and academy. So it's a problem that we don't communicate well to each other. And another barrier is technological and operational. And it comprises mostly the shortage of skilled people. And also social political, inadequate political support, weak institutional capacity for digital initiatives, and centralized decision making. So we also need the political power in a good way, such that our politicians can promote digitalization for a better life of the society. So how can we tackle some of this barrier? First, digital infrastructure. We saw it can be a barrier. So we can take examples from developed economies. For instance, we have the example of the port of Shanghai, which trades a lot of goods, one of the biggest or the largest port in the world. So how can they handle a lot of goods? Well, first, they have a single system that communicates the end customer with the port's operator, and an integrate system allows the port operator to coordinate efforts with the different areas, including shipping company, customs, warehouse company, logistics, cargo agent, and therefore the life is easier for the end customer. They don't need to become an expert in shipping law, in logistics. They only need to communicate with the port operator, and that makes their life easier. And in order to achieve that, there is a terminal operation management system, which collects several systems, including ship dispatching platform, electronic payment platform, etc. What makes this system? It collects and shared information from the customer, from the ship, from the port, and allows the customer and the port operator to take better decisions, and just to move the cargo faster from the port towards the intermodal transport platform. So that makes trade easier at the port. Maritime cybersecurity is another important barrier for digitalization in developing maritime economies. Their effect can be very important, and we can see some examples of the negative effects in this slide. We have, for instance, the Iranian shipping line cyber attack with the effect of data loss, loading, cargo number, date, and place. So they lost information on these elements. There was also a hacking attack in the port of Antwerp in 2010 by drug traffickers, and as a consequence, the security details of containers with heroin and cocaine were known by the hackers. Also, we have there was hacking in the offshore industry, in drilling rigs, and as a consequence, some platforms got tilting, and they had to shut down for 19 days. An important container shipping enterprise had a hacking in 2017 by NotPetya ransomware, and as a consequence, they had 3 weeks. They needed 3 weeks to recover an economical loss of 200 to 300 millions US dollars. And another, the port of San Diego, they had a cyber attack with issues with the park permits, public record requests, and business services. So making slower their services at the port. So we see from this slide that if we don't care about cybersecurity, the attacks could impose very important negative effects on the maritime industry. So, why is the maritime industry so vulnerable, and particularly the developing economies? Well, first, it is an industry with low visibility. We don't see so many news in the media, just a few, but there are lots of things happening, but the industry doesn't have much visibility. Large money transfers because there are lots of goods, there are interconnected businesses, and there are many stakeholders who then don't take accountability. So if there is some cybersecurity issue, stakeholders don't they don't take accountability. They don't know who is the responsible of some of the systems, and that could be an issue. Ships are monitored by various third parties. There is obsolete software and also operational technologies that is difficult to update to the need of approval by many parties. Okay, so what can we do to improve the to reduce to improve our cybersecurity? Well, we need cybersecurity policy and procedures, define the roles. Remember, we have many stakeholders, so we need to make them accountable for their own parts. Cybersecurity training, report cyber events, and to check whether we comply with our policies and procedures. Okay, another barrier in low-income countries is the gender gap in labor force participation. So studies make evidence that there is a gender gap which is persistent in low and medium income countries. And this is particularly important in the labor force participation. What it means is that there are only a few women working, whereas most of the workers are male workers. However, digitalization is bringing good news. The internet penetration shows a positive effect on the increase in female participation. And this effect is higher in countries with higher levels of education. So we see that internet is important. It is important making internet affordable and of good quality. And it is also important education, because that will help to reduce the gender gap in the labor force market. Okay, some issues in developing countries is the decarbonization. First, developing countries many times would like to be treated by using the common but not differentiated responsibilities principles, which in some maritime applications, it will allow them to have more greenhouse emissions. However, if we would like to reduce greenhouse emissions and have an efficient decarbonization, we should switch to a policy of no more favorable treatment. Also, developing countries might have limited access to high-cost capital, and there is gaps in human and institutional capacity. So we have some initiatives worldwide in order to achieve decarbonization in developing countries. Some of them include financing the fleet transition from traditional fuels to more alternative or renewable energies, emission cuts by penalty, so that's one alternative. Also, the use of more alternative zero carbon fuels and and bunkering facilities at ports. And there are many other initiatives that can be used to help developing countries to achieve the decarbonization.